If you've ever tried to get your savings in order, chances are you've probably failed a lot. But here's the truth. It's not your fault. You most likely just were not following the right strategies. And so here are the exact steps to save $10,000 faster than you ever thought possible. And I know this works because in the Good Steward program, I've helped over 1,000 people implement this strategy. So let's jump in. And we're going to start with some prerequisites, right? Before we get into the work. And I think some mindset shifts and or enhancements are going to be needed, which number one, this isn't going to be an earning your way there type of thing, right? Don't get me wrong. You'll see here shortly that maybe making some more money is going to be a part of the process that can help. But instead of this being just all about you earning, it's instead going to be a stewarding or managing your way there thing with diligence, intentionality, and discipline. And so we choose our heart. Right? It's hard to buckle down and save 10,000. Don't get me wrong, right? Especially if things already feel tight. But it's also hard to operate without a savings account, right? To go to bed at night not knowing that you have no money in your account or low money in your account, and not knowing how you would stomach an emergency if it popped up. And so the heart is our choice, right? We choose our heart. And so I hope after this video you choose the heart of buckling down and saving 10,000. And the beautiful part is the more discipline we show, the more intentionality and consistency we display, the faster we can get this done. Usually when we're trying to save money, like a savings account, it's not needed for anything. Really, it's just really just needed. I don't want to say not needed for anything, but it's just really just needed to be set aside as a pot of money for you to access if and when an emergency pops up. And so what I'm saying is as soon as the goal is accomplished, we can move on, right? Yes, maybe down the road, you'll have to access that money to be able to weather the storm. But then with the skills that you learn here today, just build it back, right? And go on to the next goal again. And so the point being is, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to sacrifice for the rest of your life, but sacrifice for a short-term period to be able to achieve a long-term result. And especially when it comes to a savings account, I tell people all the time, like, you will sleep a heck of a lot better if you've got 5 figures in your savings account. And so I just wanted to kind of address that from like a mindset standpoint. Like this isn't going to be an earning your way there type of thing, because if you can't manage your current money correctly, your current situation correctly, you don't have good management skills, all more money is going to do, it's just going to go out the door as fast as it came in, right? And so you'll see how maybe earning more money will come into play. But again, this is going to be a stewarding thing where you're going to have to show diligence, intentionality, and discipline. And yes, this could happen fast, but I'm also not saying it's going to happen overnight. All right. And so step one, after now we have the mindset right, is just getting our baseline, right? And so you got to figure out where we're at, right, before we start moving forward. And so the first thing when it comes to your baseline is like, what do you already have in savings, right? Some people have a couple $100, some people have a couple of $1,000. So let's just say for easy numbers, you've already got $1,000 in savings. Great. Right, we're at $1,000 in savings. We need another 9,000. That's what I mean by baseline. Where are you at when it comes to your savings account already? The next thing, which is going to be really important for this, especially for us to understand how and when this is going to happen by, is understanding what are you working with cash flow wise, right? And so what I mean by that is like truthfully understanding, okay, I make this much, I spend this much, fixed and variable expenses. Like fixed expenses are just expenses that are the same each month unless something crazy happens, right? Like your housing payment, your car payment, your insurances, your subscriptions, etc. Your variable expenses are gas, groceries, eating out, those types of things. And so we've got to get very clear on those to really have an accurate snapshot of what's going on in your situation, particularly cash flow wise, which I'll explain here in a moment why that's important. All right. Well, I think you can probably put it together, 2 and 2 together, why it's important, because the amount of money that you have left over each month, right, after you deduct your expenses from your income is going to be the money that we have to go towards your savings goal, right? So after your expenses, if you've got $500 left over, like that's going to be the money that we put towards the goal. That's going to be the how and how long it takes us to be able to accumulate $10,000 with that leftover money is going to be the when, all right? And so why we want to understand baseline, particularly from a cash flow perspective, or another way to put that is from a budgeting perspective, is because you can't improve what you're not measuring, right? And so if you don't know how much money you have left over each month, how are we supposed to put a plan together on how you're going to utilize that money, and then also in what time frame you're going to accomplish the goal in, right? We at JFF, inside the Good Steward program, JFF is my company. It's called Journey to Financial Freedom, and our program is called the Good Steward program, where we do financial coaching for the faith-based and ambitious. And we're big on budgeting from an abundance standpoint, from a clarity standpoint, from a stewardship standpoint, from a measurement standpoint, right? Like a budget is a plan, right? And so if you have financial goals, like saving 10K, right, you're going to need to follow a plan. Just kind of like if you had a fitness goal of losing weight or getting into better shape, right? You would do what? Follow a workout plan and a diet plan, right? And so we have a goal here of saving 10,000. So we need a plan, and the budget is going to be a big part of, if not the entire plan, on how and when this is going to happen. Because inside the Good Steward program, we set people up on their budget inside of Google Sheets. We're not a fan of apps. I mean, don't get me wrong, like they can have some benefits, but when you want to get best results with budgeting, right, Google Sheets is the way to go, specifically because you can see everything in one snapshot, right? You've got your income, you've got your expenses, right? And you've got your profit or loss, what is left over after you deduct your income or your expenses from your income. So being able to see that all on one snapshot together is really, really important for many reasons, but particularly so you can see how your expenses are playing off your income and how much money that leaves left over at the end of each month if things go as planned. There's a lot of other reasons why we use Google Sheets, probably reasons for a different training, and don't click out now, but after this, I do have some trainings on my page around budgeting that can explain this in further depth. But then the other thing though is the budgeting system we set our clients up only takes 1 to 3 minutes a day to maintain to get best results. Right? You're popping open your bank account on one screen, maybe it's your phone, you pull open your budget on your laptop, and you plug in what you made and or spent over the past 24 hours. You read the story the numbers are telling you, right? Particularly for this video, like how close are you to hitting your profit goal, right? Which is the amount of money that you want to have left over to go towards your overall savings goal. So if you plan to have $500 left over at the end of the month, to be able to throw at that $10,000 savings goal, right? Then we want to be able to check each day how close we are to hitting that and what we can do to control our actions to make sure that that does happen. All right. And then the next thing here is, I would say track a budget, particularly the measurement, for 30 days minimum, right? You want to be able to, for one, build that consistency and show yourself you can do it every day. Like once you do it every day for 30 days, like you'll never unsee it, which means you'll always know what it takes. And honestly, the simplicity of it to be able to track and update and look at your budget every day for 30 days consistently. Also, that allows us to measure your behaviors over a healthy period of time, aka a month standpoint, right? Seeing how we act over months, is very important. Like our budgets that we make are broken up for our clients in months. So you get one for October, Ramos just said September, October, November, December, January, February, right? I guess you go back to September and say that. Right? So you have a different budget for each month to be able to measure our behaviors over that period of time, right? And so this is about awareness, not restriction. Just like if you wanted to lose weight, what would you do every day? You'd step on the scale to see where your weight is, right? Or at least you would measure your weight in the metric that you care about in your weight loss goal, right? Which is your weight, is the metric that you care about in that goal. You would measure it on a healthy frequency, right? You would be aware of it on a healthy frequency, right? And so that's what we're talking about here when it comes to your money, right? Ultimately, if you have a goal of saving money, that is an improvement. That is a goal. You need to be able to measure your money if you want to improve it. And you also need to be able to have a plan to help you accomplish goals like the fitness analogy and workout and meal plan analogy that I used. All right. And so I want to share a story real quick about a client who just joined our program about 45 days ago. Right. And, she is alluding to a lot of awesome tangible benefits, which I'll list here in a second. But the biggest thing is that her peace of mind. Her and her husband feel like they have such peace of mind now because they actually are aware of what's going on. Because the majority of your stress and anxiety around finances comes from subjectivity, right? Subjectivity is non-factual information, right? It's like, I think I'm spending too much. I think I need to make more. I think I'm making no progress towards my savings goal. I think I'm never going to get out of debt, right? I think I have no idea how to save more money, right? All of that, I think, right, is a gray area, which leads to unnecessary stress and anxiety, right? We replace it with objectivity, which is black and white. Okay, here's what your savings goal is. Here's where you're starting. Here's what your cash flow or your budget looks like. Here's how much money you have left over each month. And here's how long it's going to take you to accomplish that goal. And here's what you got to do every day to make sure that happens. It's just about having a plan. When you have a plan, you feel in control of something. And when you feel in control of something, like it's not actually controlling you, then you have peace with that, especially with money. And so a lot of people often say like, my situation is nowhere near as bad as I thought it was once we put the objectivity or the black and white to stuff, right? AKA the budget. And, a lot of people often say, I'm saving $500 more a month from just intentionally tracking. If you're intentionally in the numbers, tracking what's going on and being able to control your behaviors and make smarter decisions through empowered information, it's ultimately going to lead to more money in your pocket each month. And one client, after the first month in our program, she put $1,200 into her savings account just from being able to track, have a plan, being intentional, and having the support she needed, right? And so that is after mindset, right? And really kind of laying those prerequisites. Like step one is your baseline, right? Where we start? What are we starting with savings wise and cash flow wise? All right, now we got to set your priorities, particularly for your profits, right? Profits, again, it's the amount of money that you have left over after you deduct your expenses from your income, right? So let's just say you make $5,000 a month, you spend $4,500 a month, even with variable expenses baked in, and you have $500 left over, right? And so most people are like, oh man, $500 would be great. It's like the reason why you don't have $500 left over is because you're not running a system and or have any accountability. You're not running a budget. Like most people watching this, I know some things can be tight. The economy at sometimes is a little rough. Right? Things are a little expensive as the time I'm shooting this video, but like most people we find that come to us, I think that they don't have any money left over at the end of the month. Once they are put on the right systems, right? They have some goal plans and they have some intentionality around their finances. They start saving money at the end of the month without having to increase their income at all, right? It's just about having a plan. It's kind of, again, right? Imagine trying to lose weight with no fitness plan, no workout plan, just eating junk food all day and not exercising and curious why you're not losing weight. Compared to following a workout plan, a nutrition plan, and having a coach to help you, probably going to lead to two different results. And so we have to ask ourselves, what are we using your profits for, right? So your profits can be used. That's the money left over each month that can be used to go towards any type of goal, whether that's savings, debt payoff, investing, a down payment for a house, right? A vacation, whatever your goals are. And so you got to ask yourself, what's the priority right now? Like, do I want to use every single one of my dollars that is left over each month to go towards savings? Or do you want to run what we call a hybrid model, right? Which is like, if you've got two goals of savings and paying off debt, right? And you want to attack both of them at the same time, that's fine, but you only have a certain amount of money to be able to do that. So if you have $500 left over each month, we have to ask ourselves, okay, is $250 going towards debt payoff and $250 go towards savings? That will allow you to start to tackle both goals at the same time. But as you can imagine, it's going to slow the progress of both of them because you're kind of dividing and conquering the money that you do have instead of putting all 500 towards the savings, which would obviously help you accomplish the savings goal a heck of a lot faster compared to just putting 250 towards it each month. All right, so let's just say for this theoretical example here, all right, you're going to use all of your profits to go towards your savings goal, this $10,000 savings goal. So that's step two, priorities with your profit. What are you doing with the money? Is it all going towards savings or are you splitting it amongst multiple things, right? And then step three, right, is we want to find areas of opportunity to increase your profits. Now that you know what they are from a cash flow perspective, right? Now that you know your priorities with them, right? How can we find areas of opportunity to increase those profits? And really the answer is you either got to make more and or spend less. So we'll talk about that. But just to give you an idea here, right? Again, when I say fast, right? When it comes to saving $10,000, I'm not saying overnight. I'm not saying by like next month unless something drastic happens. But most people have been trying for years, if not decades, to save 10,000, right? Take that and compare it to 2 years. 2 years is pretty darn fast compared to trying your whole life to save 10,000 and maybe not getting there, right? Or it taking you a much longer time than 2 years. And if you do the math, to save $10,000 over 2 years, you would only have to profit or save $417 a month, right? And so think about it from that standpoint. $417 a month for the next 24 months, you'd have $10,000 in savings. A heck of a lot better than decades or never, right? But let's talk about speeding that up a little bit. If we can go through your budget and find an additional $200 to add to your profits, that will save you 8 months off of your trajectory and have this goal accomplished in 16 months instead of 24. So $200 extra dollars on top of the $417, right? So that'd be $617 a month, right? So $617 a month instead of $417. It's $200 a month. It actually decreases that time frame from 24 months to save 10,000 down to only 16. It takes 8 months off, which is more than half of a year, right? And so I think that those short-term sacrifices, whether it comes to figuring out how to strategically cut some things out of strategy, not out of scarcity, right? And then also intentionally possibly make more money and have a mission for that money instead of it just being blown. Like, why even go spend the time and energy to make it if you're just going to blow it and not put it towards this goal, right? Then that could really, really help you speed this goal up. And so you want to go through your budget and ask yourself, like, where can we strategically cut things out, right? And so, there's plenty of room in most people's budget. Again, not from a scarcity standpoint, but from a strategy standpoint. We're not saying go cut things out of your budget to make you feel scarce, limited, and like handcuffs. But instead, go cut things out of your budget strategically to have that money be reallocated back towards this goal, which is in the best interest of you and your family, right? And so go into your budget and ask yourself strategically, where can I cut things out? I bet you can find a couple of $100 worth of things, right? Especially if you're keeping up with that budget each day and the 1 to 3 minute I alluded or talked about before, right? You'll be able to not only cut that thing out mentally or maybe even physically out of the budget, but make sure it's actually happening by keeping up with it every day. What are some things that you may be able to pay off faster or refi, right? And so this might sound a little bit counterintuitive to what I just said before about your priorities of all of the money going towards your savings account, but you could save a lot of money by just paying debt off faster. One is because the more money you throw at your interest-bearing debt, the more you're going to save in interest, right? So it may not go back into your pocket immediately, but you're going to have to pay that interest at some point in some time. So I'll talk you through some strategies here on how you can decrease the amount of interest that you're paying, right, over time on your debt, which could go towards this $10,000 savings goal, right? And then also, like, if you can figure out how to refi some of these debts, right, if you're not going to pay them off faster, refi them, which we'll talk about. It not only will help you save on interest as well, but it would decrease your monthly payment that you're having to put towards these debts, put more money back into your profit each month, right? If you're paying $300 towards debts and we can refi and only pay $200 each month, that's $100 extra back into your pocket to go towards your savings goal. Right. And then once those debts are paid off, let's just say you're paying $200 to $300 a month for those debts. Now all we got to do is just reallocate that monthly payment towards your savings goal. All right. And so let me give you an example here about like paying something off faster that could help. It's maybe going to eat up some more of your profits right now, but it'll help you save more money in the long haul. Going from a $300 monthly payment on a $10,000 credit card debt. So let me just be clear here. You've got $10,000 in credit card debt, right? The interest rate is 25%. And you're paying $300 towards that credit card debt each month, right? If you just would bump that from $300 to $400, just a $100 increase each month, it'll save you $3,000 total in interest on what you would pay to pay that card off, and you would pay it off 2 years faster. Literally $10,000 in credit card debt, 25% interest rate, you're currently paying $300 a month. If you just up that monthly payment to $400, you'll save $3,000 in interest, and it'll help you pay that card off 2 years faster, or that debt off 2 years faster. So there you go. You save $3,000 just by doing that. And then once that's paid off 2 years faster, now you have $400 that doesn't need to go towards credit card debt anymore, right? Then now it can be reallocated towards your savings goal. So just another way to think about the overall savings plan here. So a popular way to refi credit card debt is by taking out a personal loan and paying off the credit card debt with it. The reason why that's beneficial is a lot of times the interest rate is much cheaper on a personal loan, so you save an interest. The crazy part is the monthly payment usually is cheaper on the personal loan, so now you have more money back in your pocket each month. Instead of putting $300 towards the credit card debt, you can refi at a personal loan at 15% over 60 months, and that'll only be $200 a month, right? So cheaper interest, right, which you'd end up saving $3,000 on interest in totality, and it would drop your monthly payment by close to $100, right? So you refi your credit card debt into a personal loan, save $3,000 again on interest, and the monthly payment on the personal loan is going to be $100 cheaper than the credit card payments. So now immediately you have $100 back into your pocket to go towards your savings goal, right? And then also you're going to save $3,000 in totality on interest from dropping the interest rate from 25% to 15%. And then personal loans are just better on your credit score than maxed out credit cards. And so just consult a professional before doing these, but just showing you some ideas here on like basically step 3 is here. Find your areas of opportunity to increase your profits. What can you cut? What can you pay off faster? And what can you refi? All right. Again, out of strategy, not out of scarcity. And step 4, now we're finally here. Increase your income strategically. Why this is step 4 is because if you followed steps 1 through steps 3 above, now you've got good foundations in place. You've got a good mindset, right? You've got good systems in place to measure and track your money. You've got a mission for your money with the savings goal. You've been a good steward of your funds, and you've went through and looked where you can strategically cut and refi. Now that has built habits and mindsets that now make making more money make sense, right? Before you do any of those, you still have poor money habits a lot of times. And all more money's going to do is going to accentuate your poor money habits. You're going to make more, you're going to spend more. You're going to make more, you're going to see just as little. You're going to make more, you have the same exact amount left over than each month than you had in the past, right? So it doesn't really make much sense for you to go put so much time and energy towards making more money, right? If those foundations aren't in place. But now at step 4, they should be. And so increase your income strategically, right? And so what I say about this, increase your income strategically, right? Like, or intentionally, right? We want to be intentional about this. Basically saying, okay, if I go do this, it's going to allow me to make $500 more a month, right? Which is then going to allow me to accomplish this goal. I'm just making this up, but 10 months faster, right? So it's like, how much time and energy you're gonna have to put into this? How much money are you making from it, right? And what is it going towards? And how much is it helping you expedite the goals that you have? So if you've got a goal of, saving $10,000, if you made an extra $500, right? Let's just say over the next 10 months, that's $5,000 right there. There's half your savings goal right there just from your extra money that you're making from increasing your income, right? And so just got to think about it intentionally, not just saying, I got to go out and get more money and hustle harder. It's like, well, are you being intentional with that? What's it actually going towards? Is it actually worth your time and energy? You got to understand, what is it taking away from, right? And making sure there's a time limit on that, right? So if I was to go get a part-time job right now, it definitely would take away from my family time with my wife and my kids. And so I got to be aware of that, have the conversations with them about that, and make sure there's a time limit on that. Like, hey, daddy's going to go do this for 10 months, right? I apologize. I'm not going to be around for this time period throughout the day, but I'm going to be intentional with you when I am home on the weekends, on this day, whatever time I have free. We're going to spend time together in this capacity. And it's only going to be for 10 months because daddy's doing this to make sure that our family is in a better position. Do you understand? Do you have any questions? Can I help you with that? Right. And then make sure you stick to your word. All right. And so income strategies, right? You can ask for raises. You can look to take on more work at your current job, which could then justify a raise, right? Side businesses, freelancing. There's so many ways to make money these days. There's so many ways to make money these days, but there's no such thing as a get rich quick scheme. And there's no such thing until you have a very successful business where you're not going to have to put in time and energy to make some money, right? And so, my business journey, I was super, 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 super blessed, to have the success I've had over the years. All the glory to God. I always say if I truthfully got what I deserved, I would not be where I'm at right now. But leading up to this business, it started as a side hustle. It started as me building budgets and taking a couple of meetings with people for a couple of $100s. Like even outside of that, like I used to take on like fractional financial management roles with different companies. Before I started this company, I was at Johns Hopkins Medicine. I worked on the business side of the hospitals, ran the hospitals from a business standpoint. And so I made a good amount of money, but I wanted to save more money. I wanted to invest more money. So I'll pick up side hustles, whether that was coaching lacrosse, which is what I played in college. I was actually teaching some college classes back at the university I went to. I was taking on fractional financial management positions for some small local companies. I started doing this as a side hustle. Back in the day, I got a dad bod now, but back in the day, before I was the fitness guy, before I was the finance guy, I was the fitness guy. And I used to write people diet plans and workout plans. That's why I reference those analogies a lot, right? And so, if you can increase your income while controlling your expenses based off what I just taught you prior to this, inevitably you should have more money left over each month, which should speed up your financial goals. And once those financial goals are accomplished, reevaluate whether you want to keep that side hustle or that increased income or not, right? And so, again, just be intentional with increasing your income. And number one, even before that, make sure these steps above are in place because you can't out-earn poor money habits. And what I'm trying to teach you in steps 1 through 3 are good money habits. I'm not against making more money. It's just got to make sense. And after steps 1 through 3, it makes sense. All right. And so step 5 here real quick before we start to wrap up. We got step 5, step 6, and we're done. So hang out with me, right? Step 5 is going to be accountability and measurement. It's all great and dandy to do all this stuff, right? But are you being held accountable and are you actually tracking each month to make sure that this is happening? Like think about starting a diet plan and a workout plan. Your fitness coach is going to keep you accountable. Right? He's going to keep up with you. You're going to lean on support, whether it's them and or a community, right? If they've got a community of other people that they train, right? And you're going to group classes, you're in a group chat with them, right? You're going to need that, right? You're going to need that accountability and you're going to need to be able to measure. Again, losing weight, right? You're measuring your food, you're measuring your workouts, you're measuring your weight, right? And so at the end of each month, right, you want to be able to look at your budget. If you're tracking your budget as you're going, you should see what you actually made and what you actually spent and what was actually left over, right? What is left over is your profit. Take that amount of money and put it into a high yield savings account. Right? A high yield savings account will allow you to separate that money, meaning like, let's just take it, get it out of the checking account so I don't spend it, right? Set it aside so I can see that that is actually moving and I'm feeling accomplished, right? And then also it'll allow you to earn a little bit extra. Like your basic savings account, it's fine if you want to utilize that, but you're getting half of a percentage if you're lucky. You know, a high yield savings account is going to get you 3 to 4%. Right. And so you're just making a little bit of money while the money's just sitting there risk free. And so a high yield savings account, there's a bunch of really good ones. Just Google high yield savings account and you'll see a bunch pop up. Your current bank might even have one. And so the idea is it separates your money, not from like a childish punishment standpoint, but so you can see that money is being taken and putting into a high yield savings account, which is where your $10,000 is going to be stored. Right. And then also to allow you to make a little bit of extra money too, as well, which could help, the interest that you're making off that money could help go towards the savings goal. All right. And so, or if you want to get aggressive, if you will, which is probably something I would do, which is like even before, don't even wait to the end of the month. Look at the beginning of the month and be like, okay, I'm going to make 5,000 this month. I'm going to spend 4,500. I should have 500 left over. I'm going to take the 500 now and move that over to the high yield savings account, right? And if there's anything more in the actual at the end of the month, right, I track as I actually go. Let's just say, oh, things went really well. I actually saved 700 this month or profited 700. You can take that extra 200 and put it over. So it's just a little bit more an aggressive strategy. But if you're serious about this and you really want to make this happen, that might be the route to go. Right? But like here's 3 levels of, I think, accountability and measurement. Get into your budget and look at your finances for 1 to 3 minutes every day. That's it. I'm not asking you to do quantum physics. I'm not asking you to do crazy stressful stuff. It's 1 to 3 minutes a day. Get into your finances, check them out, right? Make sure that you're staying on top of everything, right? And you're aware, you're empowered, right? A lot of times people go a month or a week or two without looking at their finances and they forget that they spent money on that dinner last week or that t-shirt last week or that book on Amazon last week. And they think that they're okay. Oh yeah, I'm on track. And then they pop their budget open 2 weeks later, look at their bank account and they're like, oh my God, I probably would have made some better decisions yesterday and the day before if I knew a week or so ago that I spent that money on that dinner and on that t-shirt. I forgot about that. So I didn't have that information. So I wasn't able to make wise decisions. And now I'm not going to be able to hit my $500 savings goal this month, right? So it's just about awareness and empowerment, right? And then from a monthly standpoint, I sit down monthly and I just review. Like at the end of the month, I'm like, okay, how did this month go? What went well? And how can I sustain this next month? And what didn't go well? Or where are my areas of opportunity? And how can I overcome that moving forward, right? It's just like a recalibration. You tracked all the data for the month. Why don't you see how it goes at the end of the month and use that information to help you do better in the coming months, right? And then quarterly, like I sit down and just kind of just look at my finances over the quarter. All right, like what happened here? Now, any trends that I'm seeing? What can I accomplish? What are my areas of opportunity, right? What do I see as a conversation or a move or a new goal that I need to establish now going into the next quarter, right? But the biggest thing is community importance, right? Why going at this alone is silly is because you need people to hold you accountable, to give you some support, right? Not only from like an expert standpoint, right? But also just being in community with other people working on these things, right? My favorite goal, or one of my favorite quotes is wealthy people know they can get wealthy on their own, but the wealthiest people know if they help other people get wealthy in the process, they'll ultimately get wealthy a heck of a lot faster, right? It's the idea of mentorship and community. And that's why the Good Steward program works so well. And so in the Good Steward program that we have, right, there's a community of 100 plus clients. I've got a team of 10 people that work for me. You're assigned your own client success coach. You've got multiple other experts that work with you, and you're able to engage and participate in this community of other like-minded human beings on the same path as you. And that truthfully is where the real sauce is, right? You could do all this on your own, but you know how it is, trying to hold yourself accountable, give yourself the support you need. It's really, really, really tough to get best results, right? Even for the most disciplined people, all right? And so step 6, right? The finish line and beyond. What to do at 10K. Once you accomplish the 10K, celebrate, right? Give yourself some props. Share your wins. Inspire other people. I've found that our journey has absolutely nothing to do with us and everything to do with what God wants to do through our story to help other people, right? And we tell people inside the Good Steward program, a big part of being a good steward is sharing the wealth, not just materialistically, but knowledge-wise, wisdom-wise, success-wise, experience-wise, right? pat yourself in the back. Let yourself feel proud for this, right? It's a good accomplishment, and then share it and help other people, right? And then once you get to that 10K, you want to reassess. Is 10K enough, right? We're just kind of putting that as a marker right now because for most people, it's going to be a bare minimum that you're going to need. But at JFF in the Good Steward program, we teach about an emergency fund, which having no less than 3 months of expenses set aside and no more than 3 months or no more than 6 months, excuse me. So let's just say your monthly expenses are the 5,000. 3 months times 5,000 equals 15K. So if that's your scenario, though 10K is awesome, you're probably going to need to save another 5K to at least have 3 months of emergency funds, right? So an emergency fund is just a pot of money set aside in a regularly accessible account for you and your family to be able to access when an emergency pops up to help you storm it with to help you weather it, with limited repercussions. And so ask yourself, is 10K enough or do I need to save a little bit more to have at least 3 months of emergency funds, right? If it is enough and or you do end up accomplishing the emergency fund goal, ask yourself, okay, now I know how to budget. Now I know how to look at what my profits are, how to increase my profits. Right now, I'm done with the emergency fund goal. I'm done with the savings goal. What can I now reallocate these profits towards? What's the next goal? Is it paying off debt? Is it investing? Is it buying a house? Right? Ask yourself now that you have that down pat, now just reallocate those profits and start chipping away at the next goal. Right? And so we had somebody come to us, I'd say about a year or so ago, and he had, I think, $2,000 in savings, right? After a year of following this, he has $18,000 in savings, right? Because again, that didn't all happen immediately, right? But over time, he's kind of got addicted to this setup where he got really good at it, where he learned how to run this system. He learned how to find areas for opportunity. He learned how to cut and strategically make more. And he's like, yeah, I love being able to set money aside and go towards this savings goal. And so imagine in a year, if you're going to have $18,000. Not only just that, but feel good about money, have a good budgeting system in place, feeling like you are actually in control of your money, decreasing your stress and anxiety and increasing your opportunities, right? But the real secret is that the fastest savers aren't the highest earners, right? Go read the book, The Millionaire Next Door. Great book, right? They have systems, track daily, automate, understand stewardship principles, and balance intention with action, right? They align spending with values and they stay accountable. I'm not telling you not to spend your money or live your life, but do it in a calculated, controlled, and confident fashion, right? And they understand short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. Anything I'm telling you to cut out that you have to cut out here or do or step up and, spend more time and energy on, it should hopefully only be for the short term, for the long-term gain, right? This next year is going to pass either way, right? This next year is going to pass either way. The time's going to pass either way. It's your decision on how you want to utilize it. So in a year from now, do you want to be like, man, I'm so excited that I got that $10,000 in the bank? Or do you want to be like, dang, I wish I would have listened to that crazy dude Justin on YouTube and gotten my money in order. I'm in the same exact spot, if not worse, now a year later when I could have had 10,000. The choice is yours. All right. And so these are the exact steps to save $10,000 faster than you probably thought was possible, right? And so again, it's not going to happen overnight, but this is a heck of a lot better than what most people are settling for. And you can take everything in this video and implement it yourself, but let's be honest, there are going to be details, nuances, and specific situations that come up that this video couldn't cover. And that's why I created a complete guide that walks you through my entire money management system step by step, including the exact spreadsheets I use, automation templates, and everything you need to just implement what I taught here properly. And so click the video on the screen right now to watch that. It's going to save you countless hours of trial and error and show you exactly how to set this up the right way from day one. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more videos on saving money, building wealth, and achieving financial freedom. And I'll see you in the next one.